Hi, hi, hey, welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Today we are going to discuss Tottenham's match against Leicester at the Rajamangala National Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand, as part of the Asia Pacific preseason tour. Kicked off the tour with the match against West Ham at the Optus Stadium in Perth in Western Australia. We came away as 3-2 losers, but a lot of people felt that we did really, 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 really well. But the question is, does Ange ball equals winning football? We'll find out with Leicester up next. And yeah, to sort of review all of that with me is Chuma, and he will join us on the other side. In the meantime, come on, ye Spurs. Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome to Come On You Plus TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Like I said, we're discussing or previewing a match between Leicester and West Ham. Chuma, welcome. Thanks for joining us again. I like to call Chuma our in-house guru or football aficionado, as we like to call it. Anyway, I want to just use this opportunity to say a big thank you to all of those who are following us, who I really, really appreciate the support. If you're new here, please subscribe. Click on the notification bell button to get notified anytime we go live. And also, I mean, if you know anyone else who is a Spurs fan you think would love this, please, share the channel with them. We very much welcome your thoughts, and yes, and also leave your comments on the stuff we're talking about here. Sometimes you may not like it or you may not agree with it, but hey, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah, so it's very much, yeah, it's open season if you like. Chuma
Yes.
came away from West Ham losing, but a lot of people felt that we did really well. I mean, you hear all sorts of views if you like. One view is like, hang on, you don't celebrate a loss, however beautiful you played. The key is in winning. You have to win a game. Don't even try and have that what I used like to call it a losing or loser mentality, whereby you go into a match, okay, you play really well, but come away as losers, right? Or you might look at it and think, okay, fine, we played really well, but made a couple of mistakes, and maybe we should have won, but ended up losing. It's plenty of room for improvement, given the fact that only the first game in preseason. So, but as a first outing for Ange as a manager, I mean, I felt it was quite a positive statement of intent in terms of style of play, in terms of being able to maintain possession, keeping the ball, and having your foot not only in the front but on your opponent's neck throughout the match. So I mean, given that's first outing, what do you reckon? What are your thoughts before we come to
Well,
talking about this match? Talk about the match.
I'd say it's sort of like you have to live in a balance of the two. The performance was really good, and that is what we've asked for a long time, for the performance to match the expectations of many of the Spurs fans. We want attacking football. We want passing movement. We want motion. We want shots at goal, shots on target, and all of that was there. However, the same old mistakes defensively by Spurs cost us the game. But I look at it this way: we consider the first two goals from set pieces or dead ball activities, and Ange raised his hand to say we haven't really trained defending that, so sort of like the blame's on him. But the last goal happened from a turnover of possession because we were trying to attack and trying to maintain our stranglehold on West Ham. So I can forgive the third goal. But a lot of fans are of the opinion that you need to win all your games. Well, like I said to you the last time, you and I have been in this Spurs game long enough to remember seasons where Spurs went unbeaten and winning 4, 5, 6, 7 nils in preseason. And we started the season and we are like 2 points
For make
out
it
of 9 games, 15th, 16th, 14th. And so the preseason was just a complete waste of time. Let's not forget also, um, in our recent past, Nuno had a winning preseason. If you come to think of it, we literally beat virtually everything we played in preseason. Got into the season, won our first 3 matches, and everyone thought it was perfect. But he did not have the kind of cohesive units that he desired, and that's what Ange is building. And then to buttress that even further, at the end of the game, the Spurs played the Tottenham communications team, interviewed him, and the guy who was interviewing, I can't remember his name now, it slips my mind. But anyway, he's been reporting for years, for seasons in Spurs. And he now, he was happy because to me, I looked at the guy like he's like one of us. He was just happy to see attacking football. And he said to Ange, the performance doesn't really, the result doesn't matter. No, Ange said, no, it does. Everybody wants to win. And you could see it in him, but he didn't say it as a put down to the guy. He was saying, this is my personal ethos that I like winning. Of course, Tottenham fans ran away with it online. And look at that losing guy that works for the club. He's trying to talk to Ange. He doesn't know Ange is a winner. I'm like, but that's why we hired Ange in the first place. Is because he wants to win, but he wants to win in a certain way. And that's the whole point. And that I think is what we're pushing towards is Ange ball, but winning football at the same time.
absolutely. So, I mean, the question we asked at the headline of start of the program was, does handball equal winning football? We're up against Leicester next. We've moved the ship to the tour to Thailand. I mean, and of course we're meant to beat Leicester there. I mean, do you think that there will be an improvement on what we've seen so far? Will he have the same two sets of 11 in a team playing, or will he begin sort of hone and sort of what you might call have a better idea of who he wants to start, and then have what you might call changes, not necessarily wholesale changes, but sort of pace team selection in a way that ensures that he sort of sees everybody without necessarily making wholesale changes. Maybe one a few changes just to sort of give people not only game time but also an ability to be able to sort of look at his own system and see which element works better. What do you reckon?
I think he's going to switch it around mainly because if you watch the training sessions for those people who are tuning in on Spurs play and the rest, you watch the training sessions, you're seeing different units playing against each other, six versus six, 7 versus 7, and it's different units. So different players getting used to each other. So I think he wants to find out what everyone can do on different points or at different points in the games. And then also the other part that I think is very interesting is there are 4 or 5 players that didn't play the last time. And there are some on that subs bench, I think Harvey White and some others that didn't get on. So I think he's going to give them the opportunity to play. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting one with the Leicester game. And but the thing I loved about him was at the end of the in that interview he alluded to the fact that we're going to take the tape back. No, it was a press conference rather. Sorry, my mistake. He said we're going to take the tape back. He said, look, we've only been here a couple of weeks, and you can already see the signs, and I was happy to see the signs. I would have been. He was like kind of like saying, even if we didn't have the signs, that would have been okay. But you can already see the signs. So we're going to take the tape back of this West Ham match, and we're going to play it for the players so they can see exactly where they should have been, what they should have done, their actions they could have carried out. And I was like, this is music to my ears. And like I said, we were really trying to not hype Ange Postecoglou too much. We're like, we've been here before. We've had good coaches. We've had good preseasons. We've bought players early, but it's just something to me that's building here. And the guy, he hasn't put a foot wrong coaching wise, in my opinion, since he came. So let's see.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. Like you said, I mean, we have plenty of what's that word? Um, Help me here. What's what I'm looking for? Um, it's is that ensuring that you have this right balance between ensuring that your teams set up the way you want to set up. I want to sort of see
Yeah.
I mean how big
Yes. Yeah.
look
Yeah.
in reality. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be very very interesting. Leicester got relegated last season, so obviously they're in a bit of transition themselves, right? We didn't do as well as we needed to have done last season as well because we obviously came in eighth. It gives us a bit of a platform, if you like, because it allows us to rebuild, and
Mm.
we don't have the distraction of Europe coming up this next season. At the same time, it also enables us that whatever squad we build or put together this season can serve as not just one that we can hopefully improve on what we were last season and what I mean, if we're being maybe super or uber optimistic, might again challenge for top four, but there's still a bit of uncertainty around a few things in the club. I mean, at the moment where we still need a few centre backs, and kind of alluded to the fact that they're still working on that area, and that's an area where we probably need to strengthen, and I don't know what sort of numbers we're looking at there. Are we getting one? Are we getting two? Are we even getting more? So those are sort of questions that need to be resolved before the um, uh, end of the transfer window. We also have to think around the line of Kane may go, and has kind of alluded to the fact that whether it goes or not, I mean, the Tottenham team remains, So, but of course, we all know that it may have some sort of impact, at one level or another, if that does happen. So it might mean having to make a few changes here and there, but um, and I mean, I don't want to be the one saying this, but it's funny how all of a sudden I suddenly feel like, oh wow, um, much as I wouldn't like Kane to leave, right? If he does leave, I don't see us doing badly with the manager that we have in place now and the style of play that he has. I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic because don't get me wrong, Kane is a master of a player. I love him to bits. I would very very much love him to stay. But at the end of the day, no one bigger than the club. Players come, players go. That's the reality. And sometimes if we have a lifer in him, that would be absolutely fantastic. But hey, we'll see how that plays out. I mean, your thoughts on that would be.
No, so for me, I look at the club right now, and I think for me the most important thing was to get the right manager, the right coach with a vision for how he wants our club to be. And it's not just saying our club in terms of the first team. I think what Ange Postecoglou wants to do is literally the entire spine of the club, from even the junior teams up to the senior team, and possibly even the women's team as well. They've got a new coach as well. Just to say that the entire club should function in a certain way. We talked about it last year. There was the word that was bandied about last year was culture. Tottenham don't have a culture of winning. Tottenham don't have a culture of this in harmony. Da, da, da. All that stuff was mentioned about Spurs, but with him, once you got him first, I think that was the part of the thing. I don't need a sporting director. I don't need all those other people because those things can be handled. He can actually tell you what he wants and what he needs, and if the club can get it, wonderful. It's great to have a sporting director that will take the thing off him, the burden. But if Ange Postecoglou says he wants centre backs, you go out and get him centre backs. In terms of the club's efforts to get the centre backs, you don't know what to believe anymore with the media because some sites are saying the deals are already done. Some sites are saying no, they've yet to approach the clubs. So you're just waiting and seeing. No one really knows. It's not in the control of the fans, but the fans are running with their own narratives online, and you're if you're patient and want to see what the club's going to do, you are termed a Levy lover and an enemy of Tottenham. If you're raging against the club, you're an Enoch out, the club's useless, but you're going to watch the games as well. So usually you don't know where you stand with these guys because any answer is a catch 22. Any answer is the wrong answer. Either you're raging against the club, something you can't control, or you're trying to be patient to see, okay, where are we going with this? But my view is if you're in good hands, if you have a coach with a vision and a plan, which I see with this guy, and some people now are more or less throwing that back in a lot of people's faces by saying, oh, but you said the same thing about Antonio Conte. Yes, in that first season, but there's a difference, the marked difference. And I was speaking to a friend of mine earlier today about it was Antonio Conte signed a contract for 18 months, while Ange Postecoglou has been nailed down for 4 years. There's a difference,
Big difference.
you
Big.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, you can understand. There's somebody who is there to somebody who is waiting and seeing, and someone who says, "I am here to do work." Two different things. Someone says, regardless of what happens, I am here to work. I need this time. Someone else is saying, let me wait and see how you will behave. And that's no disrespect to Antonio Conte. He's a marquee elite manager, but to him, Spurs were really not the project that he really wanted, and he would have worked with us. But with Ange Postecoglou, Spurs is a challenge that he is willing to accept and take up. And because it's a challenge, he looks at adversity. He welcomes adversity. And the Kane situation is another adverse effect of the club not achieving over the previous season Kane was here. So he's come to say, I have a style of football, there's a way I like to play, there's a kind of mindset and culture I cultivate in my club that makes us win. Now, it's irrespective of the players. I would like to have quality players. The more quality I have, the better. But regardless of that, if you can give me what I want quality wise, I can coach winning. And that is for me everything. And someone said something to me the other day that I thought I found very interesting. The person said, "Wouldn't it be such a shame for Harry Kane to leave and then young man's son now receives all the plaudits of carrying Spurs to cups or trophies or whatever next. That even if he says that he helped build the foundation, but he might not reap the harvest. Yet nobody, it's very rare to find a Tottenham fan that will begrudge Harry Kane leaving. It's just the manner at which the whole thing is going on right now. Like it's kind of unsettling where a lot of speculation from forces outside of our club. Harry Kane has not made a statement. The club itself haven't made a statement beyond the fact that the chairman says he's not for sale. So it's just, we're throwing a frame. But all through this is the fact that we have a manager who is just going to work every day doing his work. And that's all I ask for.
Interesting. All right. I mean, I in terms of centre backs, for instance, like you said, we really don't know what's going on in that regard. So it's a little bit difficult to sort of pinpoint and say that, oh, this is what's going to happen one way or another. But it's interesting that we're in this, what I call a bit of a what's the question I'm looking for now? No man's land, if you like, in that respect, because we really don't know what's going on, and I guess that's probably one position that is um, not only crucial for us, but is also um, vital for us to cover. I mean, obviously not only this window, but I mean, obviously across for the rest of the season. So my I won't call it worry. I mean, I'm probably more of a let's say, so look, let's make sure that we got this nailed down right. I guess in any transfer or
On
period
it.
or window.
I couldn't find Mix in your Apple Music library. You can ask me to play a radio station,
Did you hear?
or ask for your music in a different app.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can. I don't know where that comes from. I don't have Apple.
That's Siri for you. Hold on,
it gets into everything, doesn't it?
please. I mean, this is Tottenham. Please, Siri, get off our program. Anyway,
Siri is a Tottenham fan.
I know, right? I know. Well, hey, anyway, yeah. So for me, I think that I mean, what I mean, he wouldn't exactly say what was going on. I mean, given the fact that with transfers tend to happen, managers never sort of really comment properly, except they more or less nail the deal, you know. And yeah, I kind of feel confident that they'll do a good job anyway, you know. But my my big interest, if you like, in this whole preseason thing is Tanguy, right? We're going to do it
Mm.
Tanguy, I mean, at some point, right? But I, and this may again sound controversial, right? But I actually like Tanguy in the belly. You know, I know it's like Marmite to a lot of people. I was like, you may love him or you may not just totally loathe him and say the lazy git and all that. But I see talent there. I see someone who can light a fuse and a fire in the team when he's on when he's on the ball and and when I say on the ball I'm not necessarily playing the ball but as in when he's on his game, you know. And I I just wonder if Ant can get that out of him, and obviously make him sparkle. I mean, that would be absolutely fantastic. I really don't know what's going on, but we'll see.
No, like you're not Optimus Prime for no reason. But in your case, I think you've been more or less slightly, I'll say, would I say partially or almost, or let's call it three-quarter, vindicated with Emerson Royale. So Emerson Royale was also one of your candidates as well. And I thought he played the inverted fullback role perfectly in that game. That second half, he played it. He played a blinder, in my opinion, because he understood exactly. And this is what I've been shouting about: him playing as a fullback, him playing in midfield. It works for him. But then back to Ndombele, I think a lot of things. I think when they say like where your ducks line up in your row, kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's never lined up for Ndombele since he arrived. He arrived, the manager who bought him, Mauricio Pochettino, who planned to probably play him similar to what he did with Musa Dembele, who he was seen as a successor to, gets sacked. Jose Mourinho, who is a more solid, direct manager, comes in. He does a job for Mourinho. But I think the real problem we've always had is the coaches misjudge his talent or play him in positions that I don't think fit him perfectly. He came from a 4-3-3 formation in Lyon where he did a specific role. He wasn't Musa Dembele, but he was sort of billed as our own version of Musa Dembele. And Musa Dembele, for those who they remember him, but they don't remember him too well. It's his whole job was Musa Dembele was this amazingly gifted football player that just had, and he was an immovable object.
hmm
Once he had the ball, you couldn't get the ball off him, and he could progress a ball from one end of the pitch to the other and just keep it moving and connect the dots. And Tanguy Ndombele was billed as his successor by some people in the media. But he's actually, I won't say so much more, but he's more of a technical, trickster, skillful player than Dembele was. And Dembele was very skillful indeed. But Ndombele's is different. Ndombele gets away from tight spaces and corners, doing some amazing turns, tricks, and flicks, But it's consistency and doing that over 90 minutes and his fitness levels and everything else. However, you've got Ange Postecoglou now who plays a 4-3-3 system where his two number eights or his two central midfielders are sort of alternate box to box. They do different things. So it's going to be very interesting. And then Ange Postecoglou is also someone who he gives second chances to players. He
yeah,
also wants to see how good you can be, and if he trusts you, if he puts his trust in you and you trust in him, you hardly see players go wrong. There are several players, in even we'll go back to Celtic that I wouldn't say the Celtic fans wrote them off, but they were looked at as one position. And then Ange comes in, Ange puts a shoulder around them, and boom, 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 and they change positions. And you're like, wow, same guy, same player. And it's so with Nombele, we're looking at something similar. We're looking for him to more or less get his spark, his shoulder. Ange comes across like I don't know if many people have seen Bisuma's social media where he talks about him like he's like an uncle. He doesn't say too much, but he just says the right things. He encourages, and some will tell you that this is all Tanguy Ndombele has been looking for, and this is the opportunity. I think this is. I don't think he'll have a better opportunity to have a shot at making his name at Tottenham. And we've already seen from the game Giovanni Lo Celso, someone who was completely written off, playing in a familiar system, similar to what we think in Ndombele would walk into as well. And everyone raved 45 minutes of Giovanni Lo Celso. Yes, it was in a friendly. Yes, it was preseason, but you saw how he played. And we look at Ndombele and say, okay, let's see Ndombele do the same because I think it's possible that he can do the same. And what a conundrum for Ange to have two players who have been written off come and show him that we are actually capable. So we are looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, like you, a lot of us are looking forward to him performing for us as well. I mean, and I think like he's a remarkable talent. I love the fact that Mr. Lo Celso just sort of blitzed that game. He sort of gave a
Yeah.
massive performance in that game. So did Bisuma, and we had a few outstanding other players as well. Papa Matissa played really well. Destiny Dogie played really good football. Solomon, Mana Solomon also
Nana Solomon, yeah. Brilliant game. Yeah.
brilliant. And I mean, even though Charles didn't score, he really gave a good account of himself, you know. So I'm pleased with the whole thing. We just see how it carries on into the next match against Leicester. Now, I mean, we're saying that Leicester have their own issues. I mean, they've had to obviously sell a lot of the players, you know. And from our perspective, I think the last match against them we lost was a 4-1. You know, for me that was probably one of the lowest points in our relationship with
Antonio Conte.
the Conte. I think he came back after being ill. I think he came back a bit too early, you know, and that probably I don't know that probably contributed to how the game panned out in the end. But ultimately we lost that match and probably gave one of our worst performances of the season, if you like, you know.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but I mean, buying Newcastle, of course. But
No, it was that game and Newcastle to me. I felt
yeah, I said
where
buying.
our
But yeah, really,
yeah buying Newcastle. Yeah, indeed, those are the games that I think cost us the most
yeah. So I mean,
last year.
but I think Leicester. I think they sold Fofana, they sold Telemans. Who else has gone there? I mean,
Madison to us. Harvey Barnes has just joined Newcastle.
right. So there's quite a few people who will have left there. So I think they're probably rebuilding in the championship. If they can get a good run, hopefully they can get back in next season. But that championship is very difficult. It's not the place where you
Mm.
come back very quickly if you don't know what you're about. You know.
True.
Yes. How do you think we're going to line up? I mean, in the first half.
Well, I don't know how we're lining, but I'll go to Leicester first. Leicester have a new coach in Enzo Maresca,
Yeah.
who is another of Pep's. Well, we won't even call him Pep's protege because Enzo Maresca has coached before and joined Pep's coaching team, and he's a really intelligent guy, by all accounts. And he's also he was Pep's assistant, and he's also Roberto De Zerbi's one of his best friends. So you can imagine how much tactical knowledge he's flitting between. He and Roberto De Zerbi call each other to talk about football, and
Mm.
he picks Guardiola's brain. So they're getting a guy who, if he can translate that into the pitch, that could be a very formidable side. But in saying Spurs, we said you named Lo Celso, Bissouma, and the rest. A player who I think didn't do as much as I expected him to, and I expect this next game. I think if he comes on first half or second half, he's going to take it back. Is Dejan Kulusevski. Kulusevski did some things, but he was quite ineffective. He wasn't himself. If you watch the last season, he was on it from game one. But in
Yeah.
this one, he's kind of very tentative. I don't understand, but maybe he's trying to understand how. best to attack. I think he's a very intelligent guy. So I think Son comes back in. I think Son and Dyer come back in. We probably see Harvey White as well playing. Harvey White plays left back. He's a defensive midfielder, but he's left-footed, so I think he plays left back because they trained with Harvey White playing as a left back, inverting into midfield, which is his natural position. So it's sort of like how people down the road use Zinchenko, or even the same way Pep does as well. Harvey White is already a midfielder, but he's going to. It's like Pep did the same thing with Fabian Delph. Fabian Delph was a defensive midfielder who was left-footed, so you play him on the left side,
Whatever happened to
bring in
Fabian
Harvey.
Delph? Did he retire?
Yeah, I think he went to Everton and something, and then from there, I think he did. He'd won enough things with City. He'd made a lot of money. Yeah, Fabian. I don't know if he's retired. I would like to check on that, but yeah, you know, some people in the comments check it up and see. We're not going to jump to Google now, but just check and click on it. Whatever happened to Fabian Delph? Well, yeah, Fabian Delph. So Harvey White might come in. I think Skip, I want to see Skip play the number 6 role, which is where Bissouma was, and then Hoiberg came on. I want to see him play that instead of being the guy who runs in. That didn't really suit him that much. I don't know if that will be tried out again. It didn't really suit him as much, but I would like to see him sitting and distributing the ball a bit more. Bissouma, we already know whichever team Bissouma plays for, he brings that energy anyway. So, and I think we'll see more of Mano Solomon. Mano Solomon was like the unknown, unknown person that just, literally just blew a lot of people. A lot of people that I didn't expect to praise him were praising him because these are the same people that came and criticized him for being a free transfer, for not costing money. We could have gotten Harvey Barnes, and now they're looking at Harvey Barnes. All due respect, Newcastle have paid £38 million for him. We've got Mano Solomon. I'm not saying Mano Solomon is better than Barnes, but you know, £38 million for Harvey Barnes. Then how much would Mano Solomon have
But
cost
you know,
if he
you know the
got?
crazy thing about football, and I always sort of, I smile when I listen to football fans and how they sort of talk about millions, like as if we're talking about 50p or
Chicken feed.
1 yeah, it's only an extra 5 million. Like I'm thinking to myself, £5 million. Come on, it's a whole lot of money.
No, but they're talking in relative to. There's a guy I follow on Twitter, Football Confidential, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't agree with everything he says. I agree with some, I don't agree with others. But to them, most of them are like, look, we're the richest club, one of the richest clubs, and everyone's quoting the bank balance and stuff like that, and look at revenue. And I just always say, I don't really know how much, because my friend and I were talking, and my friend was like asking me about Spurs, not a Spurs fan, not a football fan. And I was saying, so what's the deal with your club in terms of like trying to understand the whole Pochettino to now. And I was explaining that look, we moved into this stadium that was meant to cost 300 to 400 million pounds because we are basing it on how much Wembley cost. And cost spiraled.
Yeah,
It went crazy. And we ended up owing 1 billion. And I said, okay, at that point, we didn't buy any players for Pochettino. We had all that issue. When we finally did get rid of Pochettino, and got Mourinho. We were going to spend with Mourinho. I personally believe that. But then all of a sudden, what happens? 2020, it's COVID.
COVID, yeah.
So all the plans you had of all these concerts, all these American football games, all the things that were supposed to bring in the revenue that you justify you giving somebody £300 million to spend, it wasn't there. So now we're still paying back that money. We're still doing all these things. Nobody really knows. Like they keep coming out with all these different things of how much Tottenham have made. Tottenham are second highest earners in Europe. But if you're the second highest earner in Europe and then you're paying banks and people back their money, I don't know how it works. I don't know the finances to say anything. I'm not an expert. But everyone seems to believe that we're drowning in money. And for some odd reason, people who are drowning in money don't want to spend money. I don't understand how that works.
I know people. I mean, I guess then you have this what's this thing that's thrown at people who sort of mention the fact that look, you've got to build a foundation
Oh yeah, Levy lover.
Yeah,
The
the Law Foundation, right? Got to build a
Levy lovers.
yeah, a strong financial foundation to enable you to compete
Yeah.
top level, right? And as rosy as it may look now in quotes, right? We've only been in that stadium effectively for 2 years and a bit, right? Effectively, because a year and a half of it was COVID, right? So, and you can't pay a 25-year debt in 2 years. Sorry, it doesn't happen like that. No matter how what's that thing called? What the terms, how flexible the terms are or friendly the terms may be.
Mm.
And also the fact that look, interest rates are going up. I mean, like crazy now. So it's not like
Yeah.
I mean things are going to sort of suddenly become fantastic. So I'm feeling
That's
that
all football fans care about.
yeah.
The funny part is a lot of them in their real lives, they handle their finances very, very well. And they would never take the kind of risk they expect the football club to. But
So
when it
why
comes to football,
expect
all bets are off.
exactly why do you expect Levy to sort of mortgage our future or sort of put us in a position whereby we're going to be having to sort of scrounge in order to meet our obligations, right? I'm not saying this in a bad way and all that stuff, but when you're hearing debt levels at Man U like, reaching like 900 million, then a billion, you're hearing things that happen in Barcelona.
And the thing about the United one is it's 900 million. And if you remember Cristiano Ronaldo's comments, the club is exactly the same as when I left in 2009. They haven't improved any facilities. They haven't improved their stadium. I think they're going to be doing some extensions to their stands now.
Yeah,
But think about it. That 900 million or whatever it is Manchester United own, they haven't really like used it to improve facilities per se.
right.
So, where did that money really go?
But the anti-Liverpool people will tell you that sadly. I mean, come on, but they want trophies, right?
No, exactly, no, exactly, and that's always the thing. Is like the mic drop is always, well, so and so spent this, but they won this. So and so spent that, they won this, and it's like, okay, we didn't win anything. However, well, you don't win a financial um, competency trophy. It's like, but
It's
what
all
you
it's
do
all
do
about
is,
the balance, really. That's what it boils down
yeah,
to. I mean,
you're secure.
it's
You're securing the future of
less.
your club. Because if the club gets relegated financially or whatnot, the same people will turn around and say you've mismanaged our club. You want to have it both ways. And I'm not a Levy lover, I'm not an Inikin, but I'm just a football fan that I want to watch good football. At the same time, I don't want my club to get relegated. I don't want us to be in any financial
Absolutely.
issue.
I mean, being a
So
football lover, let me just remind you here very quickly that Fabian Delph actually retired in 2022.
wow,
Right. So yes. So does
wow.
Ange ball equal winning football? That's the question.
I think it does.
Okay.
I think it does. I would love to hear. I would love to hear comment from Common You Spurs Nation people out there. What do you think? But I think his football is. I think the way he gears his football, and you could see the disappointment in his face here, in his face the other day. Like he wanted to win that game, and conceding those goals, you could see that's why he took the blame himself. That, yeah, I should have prepared them better for this, because that was West Ham's only way really, was to try and find some set piece or some dead ball situation to try and control us. But in terms of open play, they just stood back, and we literally were in their half the whole game for at least 70 to 80% of that match. We were there. We're just there collecting the ball off them. 3 seconds where we've gotten possession back. But Ange Ball has won in places, and it's a pattern. He just has to find a way to make it work. But it's a work in progress. I'm not going to use that often used term of trust the process. I won't say that. I would just say work in progress. And all you want is for him to keep working. It works. You've seen it. We've seen things now. Like you and I were talking off air about the the clip of Emerson Royal and Davison Sanchez coming out from literal cul-de-sac, an area there was no way for them to come out of that place, and two of them passed their way out. They didn't boot the ball down the field. They didn't boot it out for a throw-in, or when in doubt, kick it out, which is the usual term you're told when you play football in this country. They passed their way out, and we created an attack in transition. Where have you ever seen them do that before? So this is what's changing slowly. Let's see what's going to happen.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're right. I actually agree with you. I think and football equals winning football. And again, I'm a glass half full man. So hey, I own it. you big time. So I probably put my head out there and said, look, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine about the match, and he watched it the whole 90 minutes, and I came out to me and said, "Oh my goodness." I remember when I told him about how well I thought we played, even though we lost, right? He came back and said to me, "I've never seen Spurs play that well in my whole life." You know,
There
I've never seen the Spurs play that well in my whole life. I think I said, "Oh wow,
you go.
isn't that interesting? Isn't that
There
interesting?"
you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
But I think the key, I mean, obviously, I mean, we shouldn't read much into preseason, but obviously, winning breeds winning. So again, ideally, it would have been nice if that game had been won. But at least in terms of performance, in terms of structure, in terms of something to look forward to, it leaves plenty of room for optimism. And
Hmm.
we're hoping to go into the match against Leicester. I mean, hopefully,
Indeed.
I mean, obviously, made all those changes that were required to ensure that we don't sort of concede those sort of goals. Against the better teams, which we're going to face in the Premier League anyway, you're going to find
Exactly.
try and source you out with a view to finding a way around either your press, your possession football, or try and break you up, break up your pattern and all that sort of thing. But I guess if you think too much about what the opposition are going to do to you, you lose your plot. So I think
Exactly. Focus on yourself and focus on your team. Yes.
focus on a team, right? And sometimes you might have to
Yeah.
make a few changes, talk about the other teams in terms of maybe their ability to sort of break or counter, or have
Exactly.
who does certain things. But at least you know that this is your own system, and you go for it. Let them worry about you rather than you worry about them. Yeah. And yeah, I'm pleased so far. And yeah, just to give guys a heads up, I don't know when you're gonna see this. If you see this before the match in Brisbane, actually, yeah, the World Cup match in Brisbane.
The World Cup match in Brisbane. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're having a recording there on Saturday evening or Saturday morning, actually. So that evening, hopefully, that we'll be able to bring some footage uh, with our correspondents from
Indeed.
from from Brisbane. Yeah, so
All the from Brisbane. Yes.
we're really looking forward to that, and we'll let you know more about it in due course. But great to have you guys all the time, and thanks for coming along. And Chuma,
Thank you.
an absolute pleasure as always. Uh,
Always.
yeah, we look forward to the match on Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff. Yeah, so we look for everyone. Yeah, we very much look forward to join us, and we also have the live replay. Right? Actually, no, it's actually Sunday morning. Actually, Sunday morning, 11 a.m.
Sunday. So tomorrow is the World Cup match. Women's World Cup match is tomorrow morning, and
Yes,
then Sunday morning is the Tottenham match.
absolutely. So yeah, very much look forward to you joining us on both events, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. Chuma, any closing words?
Yeah, just looking forward to Leicester, more improvement, more goals. In fact, actually just wishing for a Richarlison hat trick, be that as it may. So
I know,
I
right?
want Richarlison to get what we badly there was a comment before we end. There's a comment I heard on one of the Spurs podcasts. I can't remember which one, but it was so funny. The guy said Richarlison is like your friend who is inside the bar with you, and before the lights come up in the club, he's the one he's asking every girl, "Would you please go home with me?" And that he's that desperate for a goal. You can see he's begging to score. He wants to score.
Yeah,
So
he
we
really doesn't want to score.
so
He does want to
yeah. So the prayer is for Richarlison. I don't want one goal. I want Richarlison to like
score. Bag a
completely
hat trick, right?
destroy Leicester. Hat trick, 4 goals, 5 goals, whatever he can score in a half. I want him to do that for me. That's it.
So Richarlison 5 goals in
Five
matches,
goals and a half. Yeah, that's
and
it for
yeah, so
me.
let's do this. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Hi guys, take good
Bye,
care.
guys.
All right.